Tell us a little bit about yourself, Terry.
Hi everyone. So I'm based in Brighton. Been there since 1989. Came from the bog standard dysfunctional working class family. I had the good fortune of going to university in '99 and chose anthropology, which is very interesting. You know, I don't not recommend it, but having graduated, it leads you straight into a brick wall afterwards, unless you become a PhD doctorate, which wasn't for me. So I carried on. I went back to Brighton. I did several different jobs, catering mostly. That was my background, and then I bumped into a guy who was clearing houses. So we formed a company together, and for the past 17 years, I have been operating a small business in Brighton, delivering a physical service to clients who've basically become bereaved. They've lost their parents, and we help them empty the property. So,
okay, great.
Yeah,
and then how did you get into property investing?
So in 2009, one of my good friends, an elder friend of mine who has another house clearance company, said to me as I was kind of, we were very busy, we were doing well, making, a profit. And he said, you should get into property. My son's into property. He's done very well. He's the same age as you. And at that age, his son had owned 30 odd properties in Brighton.
Wow.
So he said, you should try and do this because it'll do you well in the future. And I thought, it sounds all great, but property's for people with brains and who are like high achievers and who have a better understanding. And so I said, it's too big for me. But he goes, no, just go for it. So I trusted him and I took his advice and I bought a property actually from his son. And I went there once to view it, and I went there. It was a student house in Brighton, and I said, okay, I'll take it. And then I didn't go back because I didn't want any awkward phone calls. I didn't want any.
So it's all managed for you?
It was all managed for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
so in other words,
actually
you paid a sourcing agent?
Indeed, yeah. I used a sourcing agent, so I didn't source it myself. It was a pre-prepared package deal.
And so the reason I want to put this bit of case study here, because we've just been talking about sourcing deals for other people, right? And I just want you to understand why someone would do that. So obviously you were pretty busy in the business.
I was busy in the business.
You didn't have the time, you didn't really have the interest.
Indeed.
I guess you had the money, but not the time, so someone doing the work for you seemed like a good...
It solved it. I mean, it worked in that particular occasion. So,
yes, okay, great.
And I had no intention of working out whether it was a good deal or not. I bought on trust. I knew these guys.
Because you knew the relationship.
There was a relationship there.
Okay,
I knew they're not going to kind of turn me over.
I don't suggest you normally do that, by the way, guys. You definitely want to make sure. But at the time, you didn't know anything about property, and you had a relationship with them.
That's right. So I took good advice, and I trusted.
And it worked out okay.
Indeed, yeah, very well. 2 years later, mortgage guy says, it's gone up in value. Would you like to refinance and pull out 50k out of this property? And you really don't want to know how many settees and pianos you need to drag out of houses to kind of clear net 50k. So at that point, obviously, my interest in property rose.
Yeah.
And as fast as I could, I was kind of, trying to raise deposits, either from my business or refinancing. So I continued to buy from the same sourcing people. Again, hands off. They would just present me with an opportunity. And
I know it was a while ago. Can you remember how much that would cost you, roughly?
For
a sourcing fee?
Sourcing fee was 6k up front.
Right.
Well, on a completed project, and then post refurb, because there'd be a refurb to add value. There'd be a 20% on the reval, on the added value, after all costs of the refurb was taken out of. So.
Right. So 20% of the profit you make from it.
Correct.
Okay. So pretty good for them, right? Who'd be happy if you were selling that to you? Who'd be happy with that? That'd be good, wouldn't it? Yeah. Okay. I just want to put it in context for you. Okay. Great. So that worked really well for a while.
It worked really well, and I enjoyed it because it was a hands-off thing. I didn't need any brains. You just have a trusted kind of supplier.
Yeah.
Walk up, shout when you're ready, and then boom. So
great. Okay. So what changed? What happened then?
So I started to become interested in property. I wanted to kind of. I found it fascinating. I started to become fascinated by it, but I felt that again property. Investors and dealers and people property professionals were again, these kind of superhuman people who understood things better than you. And my curiosity and my self-belief started to kind of grow. So I wanted to learn and like pull the curtain back and kind of see how you source, see how you stack. And I knew, everyone's human, so we can all do it. We're just normal people, but you need to know, you need to be educated to understand and progress. So I wanted to I was 17 years in as a house clearance firm, very happy, we were doing well, had a good rep, but I was bored.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of recast my career, enter into a new interesting career. And so I started to go to PIN meetings, and my curiosity again grew, and then Accelerator, obviously.
Yeah. How did you define Accelerator?
Yeah, mind-blowing.
Right. Yeah,
amazing. In-depth, immersion, absolutely knackered by the end of the 3 days. I warn you.
You should try presenting it.
So yeah, amazing. And then I was completely hooked. I was convinced. I did a rent-to-rent course to try and kind of get a feel for Simon and the system. Yeah. And then reinvested into the Accelerator, and then I was like, okay, this course is real. It's not a swizz. It's not a cult. It's not a kind of get-rich-quick scam. It's like, okay, this is like pure content compressed into a bite-sized pieces, similar to this, but more intense.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't do as many kind of case studies like this, do we? It's just the strategies, really.
Indeed.
Okay. So you came on Mastermind, and talk about this next deal then, Terry. Oh, my thing stopped working. There we go.
Okay, so
how did you find this property?
Okay, so this is my first self-sourced deal. So this deal is a house in Brighton. It's a 1950s ex-council property. I receive inquiries through the clearance company. And this particular inquiry was from a lady, very nice lady whose brother had passed away recently. So she was the sole benefactor, and she was looking to prepare the property, i.e. clear it, before putting it onto the open market for sale. So we responded to her telephone inquiry, which is how they come through. Went round to quote on the property, and we, spent 5 minutes walking around, doing the survey, presented her with a quote, and she says, thanks very much, but you're too expensive, and kind of shuffles me out the door. And at that point, I'd already kind of thought, this is a lady who's motivated, she's got a property that's a problem, she's, it's perfect for my area, it's in Brighton. And I went back to the car, and I was thinking, Jesus, I'd already started Mastermind 22 by that time. I'm educated, I've invested some money into my education, I know what to say, I recognise the situation, and for some reason I allowed myself to walk out of the house without even approaching the purchase, which is there sitting in front of you.
Cash on the table, right?
Cash on the table. And I was thinking, you know what, you've invested a lot of time and sweat into getting educated. And money as well, yeah. And I thought, I'm not going to allow myself, at least not to have a punt at the purchase. So, because the pain of the regret I knew was going to be greater than the pain of the refusal or the failed offer. Yeah. I knew that. Everyone knows that, yeah. So, anyway, sat in the car, cried for a bit, had a good think, slapped myself around the face, and then...
He's not joking.
And we, so I drove back. I didn't kind of knock on the door and kind of like, I want to buy a house. No. A day later, I gave her a call and said, look, Maggie, I'm a property investor as well, and I'd like to buy a house. And within 2 days, I'd done my due diligence, done the research, and we agreed at a 7% BMV deal. She'd already had the property valued by 2 estate agents locally. She was ready to put it on the open market. But had a lovely relationship, and I got a survey done and everything, demonstrated commitment. So
not a huge discount, but still 7%, and also She didn't have to pay any estate agency fees, so good for her.
Indeed.
And you didn't have the because it could have gone for more than the asking price, couldn't it? Because you live in Brighton, which is a very expensive area.
Yes, it's in a great area.
It was probably valued fairly reasonably because it was obviously a deceased estate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tired property, so there was work to do. So it was priced to reflect its condition,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay, let's just run through the numbers on this then.
Sure. So purchase price 265. Refurb, so we're refurbing at the minute, so this is estimate, but it's actually quite a liberal estimate. 120 purchase. Reval, so for a 6-bed HMO in this area of Brighton, will reval easily to 475k.
Yeah.
With a 190k uplift, allowing us 75% recycling of the money is in.
So not getting all of your money out, but only leaving a small amount in, really.
Yes, only leaving a small amount. I'm very happy with leaving 75% in.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
Taking 75% out.
Yeah, it's a pretty good return then.
Yeah, it's a great return, yeah. So for a 6-bedder in Brighton, this is with all-in bills and kind of cleaners and gardeners and the whole lot, gross rent just shy of £39,000. And after all costs, mortgage, cleaners, management, it's a fully managed property. It's a lot easier that way. Nets 21.5k.
Yeah, from one property.
From just one property.
Yeah, before tax. That's pretty good though, isn't it?
Indeed.
Yeah. And so you've got a few of these now, obviously. So what's the total result you've got now from...
So this year, having just completed the 22, I was averaging the purchasing one property a year just through natural refinancing, saving money, making it and then reinvesting. This year through leveraging friends, family and other investors through the teachings of the course, I've managed to buy three properties similar to this, including this, with a total GDV of 1.4 million and a net profit after all costs per annum passive of 58.5k.
That's pretty good, isn't it? Let's give a round of applause. And just doing a quick calculation in my head, I would have thought if you had bought this property from a sourcing agent and paid them £6,000 and 20% of the uplift, you would have paid more than Mastermind.
Yeah, easily.
So this one property, what you saved on not paying a sourcing fee has covered the programme, and obviously you've got
Massively.
2 extra properties than you might have normally had otherwise.
And yeah, in addition to that, I've saved a lot of money by applying some of the learnings to help transfer personal assets across to limited companies too, which paid for the course twice over, to be honest.
Yeah. So let's have a look at some of the pictures. So do you want to talk us through some of these?
Yeah, okay. So obviously these are pictures from other refurbs that we've historically done in the same area, because this project's only just started.
Yeah.
But I did an interior design course for one day, Julian Morris's one-day course, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
And then took some strong inspiration from our other masterminders, Stuart Scott in particular, who kindly advised us, and we produced a identity for the refurbs, which so we broke the ceiling basically. So in Brighton, it's fairly competitive, but just by applying some nice colours, making it slightly different, doing all in bills, we broke the rental ceiling on a Brighton HMO through this particular agent that they have, and that's through a one day of education.
Investing in yourself again, really.
At the right place.
Yeah. And also interesting, I see your little veranda there. So how much does it cost to make something like that? How much extra rent can you get because of that?
So traditionally when when you buy like a 3-bed semi, you're trying to kind of maximise on the rooms you can get out of it. So you traditionally nick the living room, etc. So in an effort to deliver back some living space and to make the experience of living there more attractive and be more pleasurable, we build these little kind of covered terraces out the back. So cost is about 3-4k, depending on the size and the quality. And we found really good feedback because it allows in our experience, these are students, so they like to kind of be outside, they're having a beer, having a cigarette or whatever they're doing. And also for condensation too, drying clothes. It's a bit of a dry subject, but the condensation's a pretty bit of a problem for houses. So yeah, build these verandas out the back.
Right, excellent. And these little things make the house look different, and the presentation allows you to get to a higher end. Obviously, in this section, we're talking about increasing your rental income, and the kind of return you get for these, it makes it worth the money you're spending. You're getting back so many times over, aren't you?
Very much so, yeah. And and it's a long-term investment. It raises the value of the property.
Yeah.
Gets a nicer tenant because the rental value's gone up, and they respect the property, so you've got less maintenance issues going as well. So
great.
Very good to invest.
And so Terry, obviously you kind of speeded up your acquisition 3 times faster than you were doing previously. Have you got a tip for anybody in relation to anything we've been talking about?
Well, loads, but I think the main thing for this course, one of the things that took me by surprise, I thought I was going to kind of enter the course, learn some very quick and effective tricks to make more money from property. And there's no doubt that's exactly what happens. But to be honest, 80% of my personal growth has been it has been a personal, internal journey.
Kind of mindset and development.
Mindset and also your attitude to other people. So, Mastermind, it might sound a bit cheesy, but there is this kind of ethical win-win and this giving culture. And when I was really sceptical when I first kind of heard it, because I thought you're throwing it into balance and otherwise strategic property, sorry to be so sceptical. But,
no, that's fine.
I found that as having completed the Mastermind and even halfway through, the desire to kind of help other people in whatever way or to seek some kind of solution for their problem, whether you get anything out of it or not, is the actual the reward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it really kind of took me by surprise. So,
well, thanks for your honesty.
Very interesting journey.
Yeah, great. That's it for Terry Moll. Thank you very much, Terry.
Okay.
Thank you. Cheers. Thanks for your time. Awesome job. Thank you.
Hey, it's Simon here. I just want to thank you for taking the time to watch this inspirational case study. I'm sure you got a huge amount out of it. And if you want to learn more about how you can use this incredible strategy, I've prepared 2-hour on-demand online training for you completely free of charge, teach you what you need to know to be a successful HMO investor and landlord. All you have to do is look in the description below this video, click on the link and register to get access to that free training. I suggest you do it right now.